All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, September 27th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. I'm joined by my co-host on Monday and Tuesdays here at MMAOddsbreaker.com. It's Mr. Big Marcel. What's going on, man?
All right, man. What's up? How are you doing? We're a new week, new fights,
Yeah.
old fights recap. So, all good.
Yeah, before we move on to next or this Saturday's UFC Fight Night card, we got to talk about 266 because this took place obviously on Saturday. Good card, really good card, lots of stuff to talk about. But yeah, like I said, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, Marcel will be back with me and we'll break down this weekend's card. It is UFC Vegas 38. We'll break it down tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. There's also a Contender Series we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow as well. And there's a Bellator card this week. We'll try to touch on that a little bit, but there's a lot to talk about this week. But for this show, we'll focus on UFC 266, recap it. Let's just start with the main event and work our way down, Marcel, okay? So, main event of the evening, it was fight of the night. Alexander Volkanovski defeats Brian Ortega, unanimous decision. It was a phenomenal fight, back and forth fight, but Volkanovski just a little bit sharper, especially with the striking, and he had the submission defense to thwart up those super tight guillotine, triangle choke, and other submission attempts by Ortega. I think a lot of fighters would have tapped out to those submissions, but Volkanovski toughed it out and made it the distance and won the fight pretty convincingly too. I thought he looked amazing. I mean, I know, Marcel, we both picked Ortega in this fight. It's not that we didn't think Volkanovski would win. We both knew he could win. It's just that we had to make a pick. I knew that Volkanovski didn't have any holes in this game, and this really just confirmed that to me. This was this was like Volkanovski 2.0. Like, this was even better than the version that we saw against Holloway, even the first time, I think. This was like the best version maybe of Volkanovski we've seen. I thought he looked amazing, Marcel. It was a great fight. Give me your thoughts on it.
I gotta say, man, I don't really understand the fuss about this fight. I don't think it was that a great fight, man, to be honest. Just kidding, man. It was an amazing fight.
It was a great fight.
It was a really good fight. Man, Volkanovski, really complete fighter, man. We pretty much said that both. But I was like, Ortega as a specialist, on the ground. I was like, if it hits the ground, Ortega might be able to submit him. And he was close. He was really close. Even Volk said he was close. So, but overall, Volkanovski, the better fighter, man. Deserved victory. And, man, he looks so good again, And the people who were complaining about the second Holloway fight, I mean, those people, I understand you guys are Holloway fans, but you got to give credit to Volkanovski, man. I mean, this was an amazing performance. And also, I mean, he has done so great in the UFC so far, man. He won against Aldo. He won twice against Max. In my opinion, won, but we got to give him officially twice. He won against Ortega. He won against Chad Mendes when everybody was still on the fence with Volkanovski, And he's just building, and he's building a legacy at featherweight right now, in my opinion. And if he keeps this going, man, listen, man. 2 or 3 more title defenses at featherweight, and he already surpasses Max Holloway or something, or maybe 2. I don't know how much it is. So he's doing very well.
Yeah, he's got 2 right now, and Max had 1, 2. He had 3. So he's only 1 behind Max. That's really surprising, actually. I thought Max had more defenses than that, but he did move up to lightweight at one point. Yeah, I think Volkanovski right now is incredible. I mean, you talk about the pound for pound best fighters in the world, like, how do you not put this guy up there? Like, he's got to be at least top 5, if not higher at this point, right? 20 straight wins, Marcel. What?
I got mad on Saturday, but I didn't tweet about it because I don't want to get into discussions. When they made the promo, they were like, Alexander Volkanovski beat the featherweight greatest of all time twice. I was like, the disrespect to Aldo, man. Come on.
Yeah, I remember even when he beat Ortega in Toronto, I remember asking Max that question. I was there, and I asked Max, I'm like, "Do you think you've surpassed Aldo?" And he was like, "No, I don't think so." And then I respect that. And that was his last, I think, title defense. Let me double check. Yeah, it was. And then he went up. No, actually, sorry, he beat Edgar after that, but still. Okay. I don't know if that would make him the GOAT. It's 1A and 1B. Let me go to some questions, guys. I'm gonna get some. Rex Lee, what's going on, man? He says, what's up, Marcel? Adam, love the content. Hey, appreciate it, man. Tristan, what's up, man? He says, y'all see Eugene Behrman's comments about how Nick Diaz shouldn't have been there. I didn't see that comment, but I saw what he said about moving their camp to the States. It sure seems like that camp, City Kickboxing, is going to go to the United States very soon. So they were talking about Florida, Texas, California, Vegas. They're going to go to the States because they can't train in New Zealand now and get back to United States safely. You know what I mean, Marcel? Like these guys can't be risking like potentially months on end of not seeing their families. It's not fair, you know. So they have to make a choice.
He also said, I think that Brunson deserves the title shot over Robert Whittaker.
I didn't hear that, but I think he was joking. I'm pretty sure he was.
I hope so. I don't know.
I think he was messing with Rob, but he did say that he thinks that Brunson is a little bit more deserving because he's got 5 wins compared to 3. Even though 2 of those wins were like Theodoro and Heinisch, who aren't ranked. Volkanovski's got some crazy cardio. Sure does, man. He's also fit every single fight. I've never seen him in bad shape for a fight. Ground pound is somewhat. Well, so did Morap. We'll talk about Morap too. We'll talk about ground and pound. Do you do Volk for Holloway 3? Yeah, 100%. Right, Marcel? Like that's the fight to make, right?
Yeah,
the winner,
for sure.
Winner of that fight gets a title shot. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The only other thing is Zabit is apparently coming back. We got to talk about that quickly. I'm sure you saw this. Zabit's coach Mark Henry says he's coming back. Zabit's an amazing fighter. I think Zabit gets 1 win, he gets a title shot too. So, you know, I don't know who they're going to put him in there with. Zabit, Marcel, Korean Zombie, I guess that'd be the guy.
Maybe listen, man. People are going to cry for us. They want to see him for 5 rounds fight. So he
needs to be in a 5-round fight. You can't give a title shot without giving him a 5-rounder, right? Like he's got to take at least 1 5-rounder.
Did it with Volk, dude.
That's true.
Did it with Volkanovski.
That's true. I was at the Aldo fight. It was 3 rounds. You're right. Maybe they won't, but I think the difference is at least we knew Volk had somewhat good conditioning. I'll say Zabit is a little bit questionable. He sure got tired in that 3rd round of that fight with Cater.
I don't mind. I mean, I want to see him in a 5-rounder as well.
I'd like to see him in a 5-rounder.
Zabit he will accept probably. So
the point is, like, there's still fresh contenders for Volk. Like he's still got other guys. So he's saying now, oh, maybe I'll go to lightweight and fight there. I'd rather see him stay at featherweight. There's lots of fighters for him to fight. Challenges.
I understand from his point of view, but on the other side, I don't like it because he goes to lightweight, Imagine he goes to lightweight and he beat Charles Oliveira. Imagine, And he could. And he's a double champion then, and he gets injured. Then we have 2 weight classes again on hold. So that's not an option, in my opinion, man.
That's true. I'm just looking at the rankings right now. So Volkanovski's beaten number 1, number 2. Number 3, he hasn't beaten. That's right here. So he hasn't beaten number 3. Number 4 is Chan Sung Jung. I don't think he's beaten him, right? So number 5, Calvin Kattar. Calvin's not getting a title shot, but did Volk fight him? I don't think so. Arnold Allen's right there. Josh Emmett, Giga Chikati, Dan Ige. He's only fought 3 guys in the top 10. And this is not trying to take anything away from Volkanovski, but he's fought number 1 twice and number 2. But there's like 7 guys in the top 10 he hasn't fought. So he's lots of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn was really impressed with the heart to get all the submissions. I can't believe he got out of it, especially the guillotine, the mounted guillotine choke. It's insane. That was insane. His head was purple. He still got out of it. Cole Shelton, the disrespect to Conor, not saying he's the featherweight goat. Conor was apparently pissed. That's when he started tweeting. And I don't know if you heard what Volkanovski said. He's like, I think he's on the piss. He's all drunk. He's tweeting about some. He's always like, I would tweet some weird fucking things too if I was on the piss. That's what he said. I thought that was hilarious. I like Volkanovski. He's good. Anything else on this fight you want to talk about Ortega quickly? I mean, it was not a great performance by him outside the submission attempts. I was expecting more. I got to be honest with you, Marcel. Like his striking it wasn't as good as it was in the zombie fight.
No,
I just don't understand. That fight is so weird, man. Why did he have to look so good in that fight? If he didn't look that good, I would have never picked him in this fight. But it's like that guy looked amazing. That was like the best version of him he's ever seen. But you know what? And my boy Duke made some good points. Like zombie stands in front of you. And Volkanovski does it. He moved side to side the whole time, hard to hit. We saw that. I think Ortega, he's still a good fighter, but at this point, Marcel lost to number 1 and 2. I hate to say it, but it's like he's kind of a gatekeeper now because he's not going to get a title shot anytime soon against Holloway or Volkanovski. He's obviously a contender, but right now he's like the gatekeeper to get to the title. Maybe they do Ortega and like Zabit or something. I don't know. Any of those fights make sense though. Get these comments. Sure says I sold my house and put money on Robbie to TKO Nick at plus 240. I really hope that's true, Kensura, and I hope you're doing well, man. I haven't seen the chat in a while. John, what's up, man? He says featherweight's been held up this year with Cater's layoff. Emmett Mitchell's recovery from injury. I'd like to see Volk active, but at featherweight makes more sense. I agree with you, John. I'd like to see him stay at featherweight too. There's lots of contenders for him. If he doesn't Like, I understand he wants to wait for Max and Zabit, or he doesn't really necessarily want to wait for them, but that's what he's going to have to do. Sorry, Max and Yair. But, I mean, hey, Zabit's out there now. There's other guys out there. I think you should stay at this division and keep fighting, because to me, there's a lot of contenders. All right, let's go talk about the co-main event, Marcel. Valentina and Lauren Murphy. I mean, there's not much to say about this fight like we talked about last week. Like, it was pretty much exactly what I expected. I got to be honest. If anything, Murphy did even worse than I thought. Like, she didn't do anything in this fight. She looked completely like she wasn't ready for the moment. It was like too much of a moment for her, right, Marcel? Like, she fought so hard to get those wins, to argue for a title shot, gets the biggest fight of her life, and pretty much shit the bed. I hate to say it, but Murphy looked like a deer in the headlights in this fight, and I can't blame her. I mean, Valentina is a scary, scary woman, and I mean, she would beat me up too, so I can't really blame her too much. But Marcel, honestly, like, this was even more lopsided than I think someone was thought it might be.
Yeah,
Marcel,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, like we said, man, it's not no disrespect to Murphy, but the thing is, yeah, you can see exactly what's up, man. You know, at the first fight of the pay-per-view card, Jessica Andrade defeats Cavillo pretty much. I thought it was very dominant in the striking.
We'll talk about her in a second too.
Yeah. But I just wanted to show you with Andrade lost to Shevchenko, very decisive in our last fight. You know, and she's clear number one contender in the division. She showed it again. You know, but she's not going to win against Valentina Shevchenko. Shevchenko is so far ahead above every other woman in the division. So for Murphy to lose to her, yeah, I mean, I think, no disrespect against Laura Murphy, I think she's amazing. She's done so well, you know. But everybody except Laura Murphy's family and her teammates thought Laura Murphy wasn't going to win that fight. Everybody thought Valentina was going to win that fight, and it's for a reason, man. It's not because these other girls are bad or anything, but Valentina is that good. She's that great in what she does. She's just one of a kind fighter, in my opinion, you know. And the only fight that makes sense to me is a third fight with Amanda Nunes at this moment. My opinion is 1-1. Officially, it's over 2-0 for Nunes, you know, but that's the only fight that makes sense to me at this moment.
Yeah, I'm looking at again for her division. I mean, she's pretty much cleaned it out. Like, you compare her to Volkanovski, who's only fought like 3 of the top 10. Valentina's beat number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And number 8. So she's beating 5 of them.
Not, I think.
Yeah, and Calderwood, Calvillo, who's not getting a title shot, our Ujo, Roxanne, who's going to be out of the top 10. So Santos will be in the top 10, then Grasso. And she beats all of them, you know? The only way she is competitive is she moves up to 135 and fights Amanda again. That'd be the only fight. So
she's even that crazy, man, that she beats the girls and what people think are the chance for the girls to beat her. You know, everybody was like, Andrade might have a chance on the ground. She beats her on the ground, you know. And back in the day, Juliana Pena, she's amazing with submission. She might beat her with a submission. She beats Juliana Pena with a submission. You know what I mean? She just does, every time somebody says, like, she might lose in that way, she beats the girl that way.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing, man. I mean, right, like, you're talking about pound for pound, I mean, she's right there, like, in the whole sport. She's pretty amazing. Let me get these comments. Kristen says at this point, I'd prefer to see Shevchenko use 3 than another flyweight title defense. I think Marcel's the same way. Now, Cole doesn't agree. He says, I don't know why. I don't know if majority of people calling for Nunes Shevchenko 3 realize how boring the first 2 fights were. You're right, Cole. Now, I don't think he's wrong necessarily that they were like the greatest fight. I don't think they were. The second one was super boring. The first one was like, that was on the Conor McGregor card in Diaz, the first one. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Amanda dominating the first 2 rounds and completely gassed out, right, in the third round. And Valentina won the third round, but it was a 3-round fight. The second fight was kind of like more of like a technical chess match that went 5 rounds and was a split decision. I'm not going to say they're the most exciting fights, Cole. I agree with you. But to be honest with you, I mean, are Valentina's fights at 125 that much more exciting? Not really. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's not going to be the most exciting fight, at least it's competitive. You know what I mean, Marcel? Like, these fights aren't competitive anymore at 125. She's just so much better than everyone else. She's lapped the competition at this point. What?
Cole, bro, you know, I love you, but those bad takes sometimes, man. I mean, bro, come on, man. If you are pumped for Jake Paul against Tyron Woodley and Tito Ortiz against Anderson Silva and Vitor Belfort against Evander Holyfield, how the hell can you not be pumped for Nunes Shevchenko 3, man? Come on.
Marcel's funny.
Come
Glenn
on.
says Tacho Suarez. He mentioned her. Yeah, we didn't mention her. Now she's
the
injured.
problem is-
It's hard to like call her contender.
Yeah.
She's always hurt. Yeah, I know.
And
Now,
we haven't seen at 125.
Yeah, now I think she'll do well because she was always a huge
think so,
strawweight. I think she'll do well at 125, but she hasn't fought in 2.5 years now. So, all right, let's go to the next fight here. Robbie Lawler defeats Nick Diaz, 3rd-round TKO. Man, this was a great fight. I mean, these guys went at it. And you know what's crazy, Marcel? Nick Diaz landed 150 significant strikes through 2.5 rounds. That's insane. That's an insane – if this fight went 5 rounds, you would have seen the record broken for significant strikes landed. I have no doubt. But even through 2.5 rounds or whatever it was, not even 2.5, but 2.25, these guys were going at it. And, for two guys in their late 30s, almost 40s, I thought it was a good fight, Marcel. Like, I wasn't expecting fight of the year. I was expecting a bit of a brawl. That's what it was. Robbie Lawler gets the knockout in the 3rd round. Nick didn't want to fight anymore. He waved it off. I think it's a TKO retirement. That's what I would call it. I've seen some people say TKO punches. I saw Tapology say that.
No,
I don't know if it's been changed. Was it changed? Because I don't agree with that. I got to be honest with you. I think retirement is the correct term for this finish. It was a punch that dropped Diaz. Yeah, you guys got to change that Tapology, I think, Marcel. I think it's a retirement. To me, he waved it off. He sat there and said, "Nope, I'm done." So to me, that's a. I don't know if it's a verbal. I'm not saying it's a verbal submission, but it's a TKO retirement. And I'm not surprised Nick did it because remember, Nick was the guy who threw the towel in when Josh Thompson got kicked up Nate Diaz in the head. And Nick was the one who threw the towel in, saying that fight's over. So I don't like seeing guys that don't want to be in there, but there is a difference between some a guy like Max Roscoff, who had no fights in the UFC that quit in the stool, and Nick Diaz saying, I don't want to fight anymore after getting dropped after 130-something strikes landed by Robbie Lawler. There is a difference with that. And to me, I'm fine with Nick saying he didn't want to fight, but he didn't want to fight after that 3rd round. Like, he did retire in the cage. So I don't think it's wrong to say he quit. I think he did quit, but there's a reason he quit. It's not just because he didn't want to fight. It's because he was getting hurt in that 3rd round. And he's like, you know what? There's no point in me taking more damage, and I'll live to save another day. And I don't know if he'll fight again. I'm just saying, like, it's probably a smart move on his part because I think after he dropped him, Marcel, with that punch, I think it would have been just more one-way traffic for Nick, or for Robbie, on Nick. So give me your thoughts on this fight, man, the stoppage and everything. Just give me your thoughts, and I'll get the comments in a sec, guys. Go ahead.
To be really honest, I don't think he wanted to fight in the first place. If I saw some of his interviews before, he was like, people ask like, why do you come back? Yeah, because they keep asking me to come back. And he's like, I don't see why I actually have to fight Robbie Lawler. I beat him 17 years ago. Why do I have to do it now again? And the thing is, you said it was a great fight. Yeah, it was, how do you say that? Probably because those two are legends and we're looking really forward to it, and it had some hype behind it, and we just like both guys. We think it was a real good fight. Technically, it wasn't a great fight at all, in my opinion, but it was fun to watch. I give you that, definitely. I think when Lawler came out, man, I was like, this dude tries to get this done in 20 seconds, and Diaz was like covering up. But Diaz came back well, and he had some good combinations, like Diaz always has with his boxing. But at a certain moment, you saw Diaz was kind of done, and Lawler, he just didn't want to continue anymore. It's a nasty thing to say, but he quit at that moment, And we have to take in consideration, dude hasn't won a fight in 10 years, hasn't fought in 6 or 7 years. For ask the promotion to get this fight to 185 while it was scheduled at 170, So I don't really have how do you say that? I don't really mind what I saw that he quit. Nick Diaz, he's great. I really like him. It's just like Robbie Lawler. Both are great fighters. But this is pretty much like, how can you say that? The League of the Elders, we saw here. And it was still competitive, it was still a fun fight. But actually, would you be mad if the UFC was like, we do some of the older fighters, we match them up against each other, we still want to compete, like Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler?
I think this makes sense. Doesn't it make sense? I'd rather see them fight each other than some younger guy that just gets a name off of them. I just think people, maybe even you, Marcel, I think maybe you're even underselling Nick, what he did. After being away for 6 years, he landed the second most significant strikes of anyone on this card. 150 strikes, significant strikes landed. Again, he did lose the fight, but This was the most strikes he landed in a fight since BJ Penn when he beat him. And it was the most significant strikes he's landed before that against Scott Smith. The third most significant strikes landed in his career in a fight that didn't even go the full 3 rounds. Nick was busy the whole fight, guys. He threw almost 400 strikes in this fight. That's insane. He was busy. I think he did show up to fight. I think he did. He just fought a fighter who was better shape, who was a better conditioned fighter at this point, and he lost. So I think.
Was he ready then, in your opinion?
I don't know if he was necessarily ready, but I think he was ready to fight. I mean, I don't think he was ready for this particular fight in middleweight to happen this weekend. I think, he even said, like, I didn't know this fight was happening so soon. But I think once he was in the cage, his instincts kicked in and he was trying to win that fight.
For sure.
I believe he was trying to win. Was he in 100% great shape for this fight? No.
We know Nick Diaz, man. Normally he never guesses. You know what I mean? He's always like, the dude does triathlons. For God's sake. He's always in shape. And this time, I was kind of surprised with it. That he requested the 185 fight. I mean, the funny thing is, he requested the 185 fight, and everybody on Twitter and on Instagram is like, "Yeah, man, Nick Diaz, the shit, let's go," And then Tito Ortiz 2 weeks ago, who had to make this 200, and what did he have to
or
make?
195. He's supposed to come in.
195, yeah. And he asked for he asked for 205 or 200, and people were like, "No, you signed a contract. You have to fight like this." And I was "Oh, we now have different standards or something." You know what I mean? So
I agree with that. No, I mean, and there is. Let me get these comments. Cote's talking about different contenders for Valentina. He's talking about Santos, Grasso. You're right. There are some fighters, but Manon Furo, yeah, that's definitely someone. I think she could be fast tracked. She's very
Lancefield in a few years.
Yeah, Nick is another fight in coming shape. Respect the Diaz brothers coming in fight. Yeah, Nick, I don't know what happened exactly, but the timing, he obviously wasn't in the best shape. Thoughts on Yair being ranked 4, getting the max fight after 2 years layoff, the last one being Stevens. I like Yair, but I definitely think you're right, Jose, in that there's some weirdness going on in the rankings when he's still ranked, but Zabit's out of it. When you had someone like Raquel Pennington go out of it, and she's back in it, but she's way ranked lower, even though she won. It doesn't. The rankings are weird.
Jair just got kind of lucky, because his fight against Zabit got, how do you say that? Got rebooked. How do you say that? Got cancelled, and it wasn't his mistake at that moment. They took Zabit out and didn't took him out.
Yep.
While he was a problem twice with that fight not happening.
I know it's really not. It's not fair, but that's life, I guess. Glenn says, out of 6 years, doesn't know who's fighting or what weight class, can't finish this and quit halfway. Time to take it serious or retire. I mean, he's pretty much a retired fighter at this point. I don't know if we'll see him fight again, honestly. I don't think we will. I don't think we will. But I didn't think we would last night either. So Nick told everyone in fight week he didn't want to be there. UFC gave in to Nick's demands to keep him on the card. Yeah. Nick was waiting for 6-7 years, give him another fight, and expect him to lose 2 rounds even. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, he did okay for a guy who's off that long, but he still got knocked out. He still got finished.
I just don't understand why they didn't book that fight at 185 from the beginning.
Yeah, very bizarre. Glenn says Diaz's significant strikes weren't really that significant. I think he did some damage to Robbie, but clearly Robbie was doing more damage, obviously. Jose's Flores says, much respect to Nasrat. Oh, he's talking about Nasrat. Yeah, that was a tough fight. It obviously turned to be a tough fight for him. Fun fact, UFC 266 first cards were brothers cornered their brothers. Yes, and we have Kyle Dox is fighting this weekend too, which is crazy. All right, let's go through the rest of the card of Marcel. This fight, Curse Blades, Yair Rosenstruck. I mean, there's not much to talk about this fight. I really thought Yair would have improved takedown defense. It wasn't the case. He just got taken down, laid on for 3 rounds. This fight was pretty boring, I got to be honest. But Curse Blades did what he needed to do. He fought smart. So, what do you think?
Yeah. You saw the middle finger afterwards from Curtis Blades.
I didn't see that. No, what happened? I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was like via unanimous decision, Curtis Blades. So he raised his 2 hands, and then he looked at Jairzinho. I think Jairzinho walked away and he did this. So it was like,
see that. Yeah, I mean, listen, Blades did what he needed to do to win. It was not an exciting fight. But
yeah, but
still, he needed to win the fight. He had to knock it knocked out. He did what he needed.
You're not going to strike. You're not going to strike
no.
with Jairzinho Rosenstruck when you can wrestle.
I actually, I don't blame Blades for this fight at all. I actually think, again, it's Yair's fault for the fight being kind of, I would say, lackluster. Yair really, I find this guy very frustrating to watch, Marcel. I got to be honest with you. He's a frustrating guy to watch because when he lets his hands go, he's like Woodley kind of, right? When he lets them go, he can knock you out, right? But how many fights now have you seen where he's just so timid, Marcel? He doesn't do anything. It was like the Cyril Gane fight was the exact same thing. He just didn't want to throw hands.
The problem is he knows the guys. Not in the Ngannou fight he went also guns blazing and he got caught.
Yeah.
But he knows the Gane and Blades. He knows if he's going to go crazy, they take him down. So he's very timid with coming to do any strikes. But if you do that, you're still going to get taken down at a certain point of time. Because those guys know how they can take you down. Definitely Blades. So the thing is, I was actually surprised he was able to stand up in the first round after Blades.
That's what I'm saying. He got up and he didn't do anything. There was no urgency. It was really weird. I thought there would be more urgency from this guy in the feet. He didn't want to show it, and he lost. Now for Blades, what's next for him? Because he's top 5, but he's lost twice to Ngannou. So
I do Stipe Blades and Dawkins against Rosenstrike.
Yeah, you could do that. I think Dawkins. We'll talk about him in a minute. He deserves a higher rank guy. And finally, opening up the main card, Jessica Andrade defeats Cynthia Cavillo. I mean, this fight was pretty much one-way traffic, Marcel. Cavillo just didn't want to be in there with her. She was getting hurt, and you could just see the difference in the power, right? Like, Andrade really does throw it with a lot of power. Pretty one-sided fight, Marcel. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man, Andrade looked great, man. It's actually, I don't know what I said anymore. I picked Andrade, but I didn't know if it did a decision or a stoppage. I mean, we all know she has power,
Yeah.
And the thing was like Calvillo, can she do something with her wrestling? Andrade is good on the ground as well, So we knew if Andrade would have the overhand in the striking, and that she could do pretty much good damage with it, and she did, man. She stopped her like a few seconds before the first round. I think it was a good stoppage, and good win for Andrade. Only she's stuck. She's stuck here in the division. She's #1 contender. She recently fought against Shevchenko, got completely dominated and finished. So she's stuck. She wants to go fight Rose or Zhang Weili, the winner of that fight. I don't know if that's the fight to make, but hey, man, you can try, because you're kind of stuck at the flyweight division right now, I think.
Yeah, let me get these comments. Jose says, thoughts on Diaz pros versus Khabib brawl a few years back when Nick threw a drink at Khabib and Nate supposedly slapped him. Yeah. I was that at the press conference, I want to say. I think it was. I can't remember.
World Series of Fighting.
Oh, World Series of Fighting. Oh, yeah, that one. Okay. Jose says, guys, I think you're unearthing Yair's improvements. The first round look, and when he got back up against the fence, yeah, he did. Defended 3 to 6 takedowns. The problem was in the center of the cage on the back. No, you're right. You're right, Jose. He has gotten better at it, but it wasn't good enough. It just still wasn't good enough. He still lost. But again, my problem with him was it. Actually, you're right. I think that the takedown defense was improved, but it's like when he was in open space in the feet, there was no urgency to throw strikes when he knew that he needed to because he knew Kurz was looking for that takedown and he got it right away. So I agree with you, Jose, but I still disappointed basically because I thought he was going to be more urgent with the strikes. He said after that Cyril Gane fight, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to have one of these fights again. Remember, he apologized to the fans. He was like, I'm so sorry, guys. Like, I'll put on a better fight. Well, this was like the exact same fight, except it wasn't 5 rounds, it was 3.
Maybe here he maybe can do better. Maybe he just can do better. It's possible, right?
Yeah, I know for sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's how good he's going to get. And still a good fighter, but it's not an elite fight.
For sure.
Tristan says crowd was booing too during only the heavyweight fight. Well, it wasn't a great fight. Jose says not using MMA math, but Gane went 25 minutes with Volkov. Jairzinho didn't have a scratch on his face like Blades. Gane is very good at not getting hit. I think we'll say that. Glenn says Andrade's got a title shot immediately after debut. 4 fights at 125. Surely she's competitive against Shevchenko. It's possible. I mean, she's probably one of the only fighters that has a puncher's chance of anything in that division. All right, let's go to the prelims now, Marcel. Let's start with this fight because I thought this fight was a fucking amazing fight for as long as it lasted. It was amazing. It was so much fun. Morap Davalishvili gets his first knockout in the UFC over Marlon Moraes, second round TKO, ground and pound. The first round, though, my God, I mean, that was insane. And Morab's really lucky he didn't get knocked out in that first round. I'll say that. He's also lucky the referee didn't stop the fight, Keith Peterson. I think a lot of refs would have stopped that fight. And I think he got lucky that he didn't stop the fight. And he came back and won the fight in the second round. It was amazing to watch. I had so many friends message like casual MMA fans message me that night saying, "Holy shit, did you see this fight? This fight's crazy." I was going nuts too, man. I love fights like this. Who doesn't? Give me your thoughts on this fight. It was an amazing fight.
Man, can we say that Marlon Moraes might be the best one-round fighter in the
He's
UFC,
got
man?
to be up
Because
there. I even talked
I
to him last
mean,
week. I was like, he's so dangerous in that first round. Like, he really is.
and yeah, man, Morap went through it. Almost got finished. Got himself together. Even won like think the last 30 seconds, 40 seconds of that first round. And the second round, he completely broke Marlon Moraes in that second round. Marlon Moraes was wanted out at the last minute. You saw at a certain moment he was crawling up. He was holding like this, like I don't want anymore. And the referee came in between. I mean, you know, you can't go against Morap, man. The dude has cardio. Like I call him Mr. Duracell, man. The dude got cardio for like 10 hours straight, I think. It's amazing. He took a lot of damage in that first round, man. We gotta take that in mention. I mean, that was some dangerous things over there, but he overcame that, man. He overcame adversity, and he stopped Marlon Moraes in the second round. That's probably his best opponent he faced yet in the UFC, and he finished him. Finally, a finish for Morap, and uh, a solid one. I mean, Moraes, very bad for Moraes. He's on a 3-fight losing skid now. Could have been more if he didn't want that Aldo fight. But I mean, still a good win for Morab Dvalishvili, man. And like I said, in my opinion, he's still undefeated in the UFC. I don't care what other people say.
Yeah.
He's just super legit. The only problem here is that you know people were like, why doesn't the UFC do like Morap versus Peorian for the interim title? Listen, guys, if Morap wins, for example, he's the interim champion, Aljo is the champion. They don't want to fight each other. They said it already, so it doesn't make sense to make that fight at all. So it's not going to
I
happen.
I get what you're saying, but I think when it comes to the belt, you have to make that choice for yourself. And I think
He don't want.
he's going to have to come to that decision and be like, I got to be a little bit selfish in my career. I mean, it's not about Aljamain anymore. It's about him, because I
Of
think,
course,
yeah, he can win the belt. He could beat Aljamain Sterling. It's possible.
I think it's possible too. Yeah.
I think he could beat a lot of guys in this division. This wrestling just really plays well. It's just so powerful. And again, I'm with you, Marcel. I thought the Frankie Sainz fight. How did he lose that fight? I still don't understand how he lost that fight.
I was so mad, dude. I remember we do our picks with MMA DNA as well.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
the only
yeah.
guy who picked Morab. All the others picked Sainz, and I was like, yes, I got this one. And then they split decision for Sainz. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
And then, of course, the Ricky Simone fight with the technical knockout from a submission, which made no sense. Let me ask you about Marlon, because Marlon, he's actually he started his UFC career 4-1. Now he's 5-5. He's really struggled. And I'm looking at the losses. He's lost 4 of his last 5 fights via TKO, 3 via grounded pound, and the brutal grounded pound. I can't say this guy's done because he obviously looked amazing in that first round, Marcel, but he only has 5 minutes of cardio. Once you get out of the first round with this guy, he's done pretty much.
That's a problem. Yeah. That's a real problem because he looks really good in those first rounds all the time,
Yeah.
And that's a real. He even looked great in a title fight against Henry Cejudo.
Yeah, he did.
In that
yes,
first
he did.
round.
I remember that. Yeah.
So
that was a bit of an upset. Yeah, I remember that was a bit of an upset back at the time.
Yeah. He's a world-class fighter, man, in that first round. But for some reason, the cardio doesn't go in the second round, and then he gets pretty much finished. So it sucks for him, man. But he got the potential,
No, for sure. Jose says he'd low-key favor Morab over Cody and Font. Because yours is the steroids have finally worn off. Well, they were still working well in that first round, weren't they? I'm just kidding. I have no idea if he's been juicing. Jose, I agree with you, Adam. Jersey was weighing too much shit throwing haymakers, 100%. So I'm with you, Jose, and I think he made some good points. We'll talk about this one kind of quick. Dan Hooker looked really good against Nasser Haqparast. Used his grappling more than anything, Marcel, in this fight. Didn't want to stand. It was just more of a grappling-based fight, and he fought smart. It was a smart fight. He looked good in this fight. And I don't know who he fights next, but we do know that Islam doesn't have an opponent. I don't know if they can get Dan to Fight Island again next month, but that would be a good fight. I will say that. What do you think?
I agree with you, man. Either Dan Hooker or Benel Dariush or Tony Ferguson, I don't mind.
How about Armin or no?
Yeah, that would be a rematch. I would be surprised if Islam wants that. You know what I mean? But
sorry, I thought about Hooker and Armin. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, Hooker and Armin. Yeah, that would be a great fight. I would love that fight. You know. We both picked Nasrat here because, for example, I also didn't expect Hooker to wrestle so much, to take him to the ground the whole time. Perfect Perfect game plan by Hooker, man. Clear dirt, 30-27, 130-26 card on that.
He fought smart, took no damage in the fight, went in there, got a paycheck, got his win bonus, went home. Very smart.
Made weight both. Both.
Yeah, I gotta give these guys credit for making with 2 pros. But I just thought I was impressed by how smart he fought. Like, I don't think it was the most exciting fight, but it didn't matter. It was a smart fight, and he wasn't going bonus hunting he needed to get a win. He's like, I'm on 2-fight losing skid. I need to win. He did that. He'll probably get a big name fight for his next fight. Glenn says the fight should have went at 160 instead. Probably, Glenn. But both guys, they're like, I have no problem making weight. So, all right, Chris Daukaus defeats Shamil Abdurakhimov via second-round knockout. Pretty amazed that Shamil survived that first round at the end with that nasty ground and pound from Mount. And then second round, definitely a late stoppage, I think by Mark Smith, the ref. But Chris Daukaus was just dominant in this fight, Marcel. Give me your thoughts on Chris Daukaus, a guy that's 4-0 now in the UFC with 4 knockouts, and I think a guy that we're both very high on.
The fuck was Mark Smith doing, man? I mean,
Shamil
Abdurakhimov, he went down, and he pretty much
his
laid there.
His eyes rolled to the back of his head, bro.
Yeah, man. He laid there how I lay in my bed at night. That's how he lay there, and he was like looking like, is he out? Is he out? And he was like, only his leg was kind of a little bit moving, like some spasm or something. He's like, is he out? Is he out? Yeah, keep punching. I was like, dude, are you stupid or something? So. It was like, again, an amazing performance by Daukaus. I think this is his 3rd performance of the night bonus back-to-back, and in 4 fights, 4 TKO wins, or also KOs in between, but KO and TKO wins. I mean, Daukaus is so good, man. He's also good on the ground, but he just used his stand-up here in this fight, and he looked really good again. And listen, man, we both expected Daukaus to win and also finish Abdurakhimov. I think I had him in the finish. I don't know if you had, but...
oh, yeah.
I mean, Daukaus really high on the dude, man. I got to say, when he came into the UFC, I was kind of skeptical. I didn't know yet if he was UFC caliber. But after the first fight against Parker Porter, where he looked great as well, I was pretty much convinced. Then he fought Nascimento, but I was very high on Nascimento as well. I was like, well, maybe Nascimento can do something.
Yogi Bear is good, man.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, but he stopped him within a minute, and then, it was real, So, Daukaus, yeah. I want him against Rosenstrike, man. I think that would be
it'd be a good fight. And Jose's got some suggestions. He's saying Blades, Miocic, Lewis, any of those fights. I think Lewis would be a fun fight, man. That would be a fun one. Derek Lewis and Daukaus. And I think Daukaus can win. He's just really fast on the feet. He's got fast hands. He moves fast. He's got good cardio too. He's got high fight IQ. I do think he got tagged a little bit by Shamil in this fight. He was having a hard time with the range in that first round. But once he started to figure the range out, it was just downhill from there for Shamil. For Chris, though, very impressive once again. His brother's fighting this weekend, like you said.
And by the way, dude, beard game strong. He outbearded the Dagestani.
His beard looks good. He looks scary. He looked scarier than Shamil. It didn't look like there was 27-pound difference between Daukaus and Shamil. It sure wasn't. Daukaus, I got to be honest, Marcel, like, I still think he can cut to 205. I still think he can do it. He's got a lot of flab around the belly. And I think if he's probably a guy that doesn't eat the greatest, let's be honest, because I know he trains really fucking hard. Like, this guy trains his ass off, but probably doesn't eat the greatest. And that's probably why he stays at heavyweight. He's probably just doesn't have the greatest diet. If he really, really wanted to, I think he can drop that 25 pounds to make 205. Do you think you could?
I think it's possible, man. But hey, I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm not 100% sure.
No, for sure. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. But because, again, he's probably a guy that's always had a bit of a belly, It's not easy to lose that, but I'm just saying, like, as good as he is at heavyweight, I still wonder what's going to happen when he fights a guy that's 265 pounds like Curtis Blades that can dig him down. Can he get back up? That's my question. You know what I mean? Yeah, he can strike with these guys, but I still have questions about Chris Daukaus, even though I really like the guy. And I do think he's a black belt on the ground, but again, it's hard to get black belt when you're in your back getting punched in the face, let's be honest. But I like the guy. He's good. All right, Tyler Santos defeats Roxanne Modafferi. This was obviously not a good pick by me, guys. I'll just say that right now. I thought the fight would be more competitive. You know what? I think the second round was getting competitive, and then Tyler landed this nasty punch right on the eye of Roxy that changed the whole fight after that. It was just downhill after that. And let's be honest, it was pretty much a one-way traffic for Tyler Santos. I think she looked good, Marcel. I'm not ready for her to fight for a belt yet by any means, but it's time she fought someone like, Jessica Eye, someone like that, like a gatekeeper type, to see if she can get to that upper echelon. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Like I say all the time, Tyler Santos showed up again. She left her twin sister home this time again. Good performance. solid. What she had to do, Modafferi didn't look comfortable at all inside the cage.
But Roxy's still tough though, eh? Like she got dropped.
Oh, for sure.
My God, what a tough girl! Like she is a true veteran in the sport. But Marcel, she's lost 3 of her last 4. I don't think she'll get cut. I think they're fine keeping her around as like a gatekeeper type. But she's
what's her record? 25-20, I think.
It's something like that. Yeah, I think this was like her 44th fight or something. So, Jalen Turner defeats Uros Medic via submission.
Yeah.
So this one was one that I just bet on the finish of this fight because I wasn't too sure about Medic's cardio. That didn't even come into play because the fight didn't go past the first round. Just the takedown defense was not there. And once he was on the ground, Marcel, he couldn't get back up. That's a real worry with this guy going forward. I mean, I'm worried about Medic going forward because if you fight someone who's going to take him down, I don't know if he can get back up. I'm not confident. Jalen Turner, a guy with durability issues, he's been knocked out quite a few times, but man, the guy is very solid, well-rounded, good striking, and now he's showing good submissions, Marcel. 2 straight wins by rear naked choke. Give me your thoughts on Jalen Turner, the tarantula.
Yeah, the tarantula, the guy who always got me scared in my bed when I'm watching Instagram stories. Yeah, he looked good. Yeah, for sure, man. Dude, sometimes I'm like late at night, I'm just kind of swiping through Instagram stories, and then out of nowhere, you see a tarantula crawling somewhere. I was like, dude.
By the way, did you see that he was forced to sell some of his tarantulas because he hasn't fought in a year and he needed money?
No.
That's crazy. That sucks. Yeah.
That sucks. Yeah, that really sucks.
Yeah.
But he looked great. He really looked great. I think honestly he deserved a fight. He deserved a performance bonus, to be really honest.
I thought so too, but it's just he's so far down the prelims that it was going to be hard for him to get it. But this was one of those cards I think they could have given a couple extra bonuses out.
I mean, he was a huge underdog, I think, in this fight, so why not?
He wasn't huge, no. It was like an even line, but he was a small underdog.
Yeah. I thought it was a huge underdog.
Okay. By the end of the week, it had narrowed so much that it was basically a pick 'em, but with a lean towards Medic. So he was an underdog. There was only, crazy enough, there was only 2 underdogs that won on this whole card. Uros Medic and Jonathan Pierce, and we'll talk about him in a few minutes. That's it. The rest of them were favorites to win. It was a chalky card. Jose says the fight sold man Jalen Turner. Me too. Turner Purcell. That'd be a good fight. That fight makes sense. Vince wants to take that fight against the guy who's a prospect. I'd watch that fight. But Vince is an older guy. He's like 38 or 39. He might want to fight someone who's a little bit more of a veteran to get further along in the rankings. A couple more fights. Talk with your guys.
I always thought Vince Purcell looks like an angry Cub Swanson, man.
Yeah, he kind of does. He does look like Carl. He really does. Like they must be long cousins or something. Nick Maximov defeats Cody Brundage. We didn't actually get a chance to talk about this fight last week because it was booked on short notice. I picked Maximov. I think you picked Maximov too, I want to say, for this one. Or
no, we were talking Maximov Robertson now. We didn't talk about
Brundage. Yeah, exactly. So I ended up picking Maximov. I wasn't super confident because of the short notice, but he did what he had to do. He wrestled Brundage. Brundage to me was very disappointing in this fight. For a guy who's a wrestler, he wrestled for 3 rounds. He didn't do much except for the 3rd round where he had the better cardio.
I think he came back in the 3rd round pretty okay, but he lost the first.
I think the biggest problem was he didn't have his normal coach with him. He didn't have Mark Montoya. He had James Carson. I'm not saying James is a bad coach. He's obviously good, but James doesn't know this guy that well. He had to fire him up between the 2nd and 3rd round. He's like, dude,
I saw that.
What are you doing? He's like, you're shooting for a takedown from halfway across the cage. I can stop that takedown. I thought that was so jokes. He's like, dude, what are you doing? You gotta let your hands go. I thought it was really good corner work, and guy almost came back. But yeah, Maximov wins the fight. The only Diaz member to win on this card, because in the next fight, Matthew Summelsberger needed 1 punch in 15 seconds to absolutely destroy Martin Sano Marcel. 15 seconds, 1 punch knockout. I think this guy should have got a bonus too. What do you think?
I was thinking you were going to say Martin Sano deserved a bonus. Summelsberger. Yeah, for sure, man. The thing is, now they're probably going to say this wasn't a good opponent, so you didn't really.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
I mean, then you don't have to make that fight if you're gonna think like that.
That's what I'm saying.
What I mean?
How is it fair to Matt if you're going to say, here's your opponent, you could fight this guy, and then you're like, okay, you're not eligible for a bonus because this guy wasn't good enough to be in the UFC. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You knock a guy out in 15 seconds, you probably should be getting a bonus, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah, definitely. Good performance by Summelsberger.
Yeah.
But we pretty much expected that, that Summelsberger was going to win. We didn't know how because we didn't know anything about what Sano did for the last 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, but we see there was a huge I mean, huge knockout here. So we still don't know what's up with Sano.
I gotta give my boy Duke credit from Elite Fantasy, because he's like, you know what? I think it's gonna be a blowout. I think Semmelsberger knocks this guy with the first punch. He made a nice call. That was a really good call by my boy Duke. So, and after seeing what he did, Jason Witt, Marcel, he's the only fighter in UFC history, Matthew Semmelsberger, with 2 knockouts in under 1 minute, along with Anthony Johnson, who knocked out Little Nog and Glover Teixeira under 1 minute. He's the only other fighter in UFC history. That is crazy. Last fight in the card, Jonathan Pierce defeats Omar Morales via second round submission, and he looked great in this fight. Takedown City just took him down at will, and Cole says Pierce was the only fight I got wrong. I thought we could pick him that close to per event. Cole, you did really well, man. This was one I was thinking about picking too. I got to be honest, it was just hard to, because Morales has never been taken down like this, that it was like hard to see it happening. But once he got him down, it was pretty much all one-way traffic on the ground. I thought JSP looked good. That fight with Joe Lozon still makes me scratch my head. How did he get knocked out by Joe Lozon, right? And then he goes to beat superior fighters in Kamaka and Morales. But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Pierce is a pretty exciting guy, Marcel. He's won 7 of his last 8 fights by stoppage. So, guy's pretty good. He's only 29 too. Any thoughts on him? Last fight to talk about here?
Yeah, good performance, man. I mean, also a really, interesting story. I think Nolan King put it out when he was in Contender Series, that he went through something. He got like hit in the back of the head in the gym by somebody, and he was kind of he was in the hospital for it. It was on purpose that what happened. It's a crazy story. We definitely look it up. But yeah, I mean, besides that Lozon fight, he looks good. So, but that Lozon fight still in the back of my head. When I made this pick, I was like, I don't see him winning against Morales, but he did very well, and I think Morales is a good fighter. I don't want to take anything away from Morales, so a good win for Pierce here, man. Definitely, I agree with you, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jonathan Pierce was in Bellator. Isn't that crazy? He actually was. And
was that a 1-5 contract or something?
Yeah, one of those things. So I think it was one of those. Anyways, that's it for UFC. I think. Oh, we should talk about this. Oh, this is hilarious. Glenn says, never going to debut where your walk lasts longer than your fight. No, it's not. This is funny. Thoughts on John Jones being a dick again. We'll talk about this quickly. So, yeah, John Jones got arrested. Allegedly, it was domestic violence, I think. That is not good. And also, like, damage to a car or something. Really weird. I don't think anyone knows exactly what happened, but clearly the guy's got a problem with alcohol, I would say. Marcel, my guess is he's got a serious problem with alcohol. He shouldn't drink, John Jones is the greatest fighter of all time. He's also one of the biggest fuck-ups in the UFC that we've ever seen. If this was Jonathan Pierce or Omar Morales getting arrested every week, they would have been off the roster years ago. He's lucky his name is John Jones. I'll say that right now, Marcel, because if he was just some random guy, he wouldn't be here anymore. Because it's John, he gets a lot more leniency. As a fighter, I love John Jones. As a person, the guy is very flawed. Any thoughts on John?
Yeah, man. I mean, remember Miguel Torres when he said like
the rape fan thing?
A rape fan should be a party fan, and people wouldn't get so upset. And then Dana cut him immediately, and they took him back later, but they cut him. So I mean, for Jones, I wanted to say Dana's probably upset there wasn't a video camera right at it, so we can't use it in the promo for the next fight. But it's like just kidding. But it just sucks. What can we say about it? It's I think everything we say about it is too much. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that Torres was still fighting up to a couple of years ago. By the way, like after he got cut, he was still fighting for like small promotions. Domestic violence means hitting your wife. It normally does. It doesn't necessarily have to be hitting your wife. I think it's just any sort of abuse. Let me double check exactly what John Jones.
It's also super weird as well because it is
domestic violence. I'm just making sure it's domestic violence. Yeah.
I mean, it's super weird as well because right after the ceremony from the Hall of Fame, he posed with his wife and his daughters, man. So it's
that's
super
fucked.
weird.
That's really fucked, man. That's really fucked. Yeah, I mean, listen, like there's. Everything John Jones is so bad. Like I'm not gonna go and defend any of this stuff, dude. Like the hit and run, all like the drug tests, but hitting your wife or whatever, being accused of that is crazy. Terrible. That is terrible. Yeah. And drinking and driving is horrible. It's terrible. Hitting your wife is terrible. This guy makes a lot of mistakes. I don't know what to say. I honestly, I'm at a loss for words with John Jones.
Yeah, let's talk about something else.
Yeah, let's talk about something else.
I want to ask you, what did you think about the Hall of Fame induction from Randleman by Bosworth and Mark Coleman and then his wife from Canada?
I mean, it's pretty cool, right? Like they're
legends, it was super cool.
All like at the same time, pioneers, I should say, pioneers of the sport. Yeah, I think that's cool. George St. Pierre's in the Hall of Fame. Also, John Jones is not in the Hall of Fame. His fight with Gustafsson is in the Hall of Fame. Everyone's confused by this saying he's in the Hall of Fame and Gus is in the Hall of Fame. That's not true. And like, I love the guy because Frank Trigg used to work for Oddsbreaker. I don't know if he's there anymore, but Frank used to work for Oddsbreaker. His fight with Matt Hughes is in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Frank calls himself a Hall of Famer. I don't know if that's 100% correct. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like because his fight is in the Hall of Fame, but is Frank Trigg in the Hall of Fame? I don't think so. You know what I mean, Marcel?
I mean, Stefan Bonner is also not in the
Hall of Fame. I know Clay Guida is also like, I'm a Hall of Famer now because my fight with Diego Sanchez is in the Hall of Fame. It's like, no, the fight is in the Hall of Fame. Bonner was inducted, though, so he actually was in.
Okay.
Yeah, him and Forrest both come in. All right. Marcel wanted to get out of here a few minutes early today, guys, so I'm okay with that. But I do want to talk about Contender Series really quick. Marcel, let's just do it for 2 minutes. Last week's recap. AJ Dobson defeats Hashem Arkaga via first-round submission after the guy missed weight. Michael Morales defeats Nikolai Veretnikov via decision. Steve Wynn defeats Theo Railing by decision. Clayton Rodriguez defeats Santo Curatolo by decision. Victor Martinez defeats Jacob Rosales by decision. Dana White signed 4 guys. Everyone won the fight except for Stevie Wynn, who I don't think they like very much. But they signed the other guys. Give me quick thoughts on this card and the 4 fighters they signed.
I love it that the guys got all contracts, but they're really signing way too much guys, in my opinion, man.
I know, but
I
agree.
And don't get me wrong, I love it that these guys got signed. I mean, Clayton Rodriguez looked great. I think Michael Morales looked great. Victor Martinez, Jacob Rosales was kind of a 50-50 fight, in my opinion. Jacob broke his hand in the first round, I think, and Martinez took over after that. AJ Dobson, yeah, I mean, you can't not give him a contract. You know, he looked great. Yeah. The submission finish. So the thing is, I mean, you know, I love it when guys get signed, when they got their opportunity, when they got the chance. But sometimes, man, not really this week, but last week, man, he gave 5 contracts where I was like 3 would have been okay, you know.
Right.
5 was a little bit too much, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I don't know who said it, but it's not really as how do you say that? Like it's exciting as last year or the year before, where it was really like, wow, who's going to get the contract? You know,
I know.
And then,
just like, if you win, you get a contract, basically.
Yeah. And then you could complain afterwards on Twitter, like, how dare they not give this guy a contract? You know, and now you just can't complain. You know what I mean? No, it's just kidding. But you understand what I mean, man. It's just. Yeah, I don't know, man. For me, it's like it's not as exciting as it was last year. Although the fights are still good, you know. Although I was in bed like 5:10 a.m. last week because the pacing wasn't that great.
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions last week. I agree. I actually felt really tired after. I kind of forgot what happened because I was so tired that day. I remember waking up the next morning and be like, oh, they got figured away 4 contracts. There were so many decisions.
Also, why do they the after the fight they go with an interview to Laura Sanko? Please, man, after the fight, do the fight, go to the next fight, next fight, and after Dana gets his decision, interview the fighters. Do it like that. You don't have to interview them twice. You know, it almost takes time. And also, man, I don't want to talk shit, but. That Johnny dude, man, it takes so long sometimes what he says all the time, you know. I mean, we want to move it on, man. It's a midweek day over here, you know. People in Europe want to watch it as well. Don't talk too much at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. in a midweek day. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do. No, I agree. All right. I think that's it. For today's podcast, just one last comment here. Jose's asking Max Godja missed weight. Can he win a contract? No, I don't think so. Managed by Pettis. Anthony Pettis? Or Sergio Pettis? I don't know. I know who the guy is. He's an Albanian guy. He missed weight. He won't get signed. That's it for today's podcast, guys. We'll be back tomorrow 4 p.m. Eastern. Marcel, plug yourself. Let's get out of here, man.
Big Marcel24, Twitter, Instagram, and MMADNA.nl, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
Follow me on Twitter at Madam Martin Podcast, MMAOddsbreaker.com. It's on our YouTube channel. It's on iTunes, Spotify, all those places. You guys can follow me on also at bjpen.com, MyMMAnews.com, Elite Fantasy, Elite Sports Betting. The new website working for bookies as well, which is cool. Like doing some stuff for those guys as well. So a lot of stuff going on. By the way, Marcel, just the last question I have for you. Clayton Rodriguez, is he actually fighting Zaruka Dasha? Is that official? That's
Yeah,
official.
that's,
That's crazy.
January 15th.
Love it. They got the guy booked already, so I have no problem with that. Who's the front runner to fight Islam? Is the last question. Ali says he wants either to be Hooker or Ferguson, so we'll see if they can get someone. I would like to see if Hooker fight him, but we'll see. All right, Marcel, that's it for today. Have a great one, guys. Peace.